Hey, welcome to our webinar, Basics of College Going through Team College Bound. My name is Maggie Tom. I am with the FACS program at NAU. FACS stands for Family Access Communication Transition and Support. And tonight we're going to be going through some of the basics of college going. Okay, so today's topic. So we're going to go through the importance of a college degree and its long-term impacts on the individual, their family, and community. And then we're also going to go through some different types of colleges and degrees. So why is going to college important? We talk about this a lot. We hear this question a lot. We hear it from students. We hear it from families trying to figure out, why should I go to college? When I feel like maybe I don't have to, or I don't know if I want to, or I'm not sure what I want to study. So we're going to talk about some of the benefits of education, both tangible benefits such as long-term increases in income, but we're also going to go over some of those intangible benefits. So the first slide here, so going through the benefits of college. So these are some of the tangible things that I was just discussing. So we know that students that go to college, we know that people that go to college have higher earnings long term than their counterparts who do not attend college. So the US Bureau of Labor Statistics say that those with a bachelor's degree earn a median of about $1,300 a week, while a high school graduate earns a median income of about $780 a week. Annually, so yearly, that is a difference of about $30,000. And then over the course of a lifetime, Georgetown University did a study that tells us that high school graduates earn a median of about $1.6 billion, while those with a college degree earn about $2.8 million, which is 78% more, and that is on average. The second thing we have in this list is better job opportunities. So that's another benefit of going to college. More jobs today than ever before require a college degree. And 60% of jobs that require a college degree require at least a bachelor's degree, if not a more progressive degree, such as a master's degree or a PhD. And we know that that's through the Georgetown University Center on Education, did that research. We also know that there's increased job security for people who go to college. So in December of 2021, so we know that that was right after the COVID pandemic hit, some data and research came out that said that the unemployment for those with a college degree during COVID was 2.1%, versus those who only had a high school education had an unemployment rate during COVID of about 4.6. So during those periods of economic turmoil, those with a college degree are more likely to continue to be able to work. And again, we use COVID as an example. We know that between February and May of 2020, 52% of our high school graduates were working compared to 72% of those who had a bachelor's degree. So the increased job security is another benefit of going to college. We also know that there is a lot more career flexibility and lifestyle flexibility that comes with having a college education. College graduates see about 57% more job opportunities than those who do not have one. And that's through a study by Northeastern University. And what that means is that even if someone has a college degree, let's say in history, and they go into teaching, if they want to get out of teaching and they don't want to do that anymore and they want to try something else, their college degree will still allow them to have that career flexibility where they can go ahead and still apply for jobs that require a college degree. And then you can see there on the right-hand side, earnings and unemployment rates by educational attainment. The very top is a doctoral degree, so that is the highest degree that you can earn in college. And then at the very bottom, we have that less than a high school diploma. And you'll see on the left, that's the median usual weekly earnings. So we see that as education increases, so do weekly earnings. We also see on the other side, when we look at that unemployment rate, that we see a transverse, right? So it's the opposite. So we know that those at the bottom with less education have higher rates of unemployment compared to those with more education at the top have the lowest unemployment rates. So those are some of those tangible benefits like I talked about. And the next slide, we're going to go through some of those more intangible. So other benefits of college that aren't just in the what the money makes, there's lots of benefits of college outside of the things that are tangible. So we know that education brings critical thinking and problem solving skills. So college teaches students how to think critically, how to solve problems through reading, through listening, going to lectures, engaging in discussions, engaging in projects. Also because they're learning new ideas and topics, and they're learning different perspectives on different topics and ideas. Those are skills that are essential for the workplace and in life. We know that being able to critically think and problem solve are how our most problems obviously are solved. So we also go into personal development. So that is the second one here. So your student engaging in things like clubs and organizations is something that they do in college, taking different courses, learning how to study. So what does reading look like? What is studying for a test? What is writing a paper? How do I do that? Those are all skills that they learn. We also know that students are learning how to be independent. They're learning how to get to know themselves, their thoughts, their ideas, what they think. And all of these things help lead our students to find their passions and their personal career goals, the things that they want to do, maybe what their goals are in life. So personal development is something that is a huge benefit of college. We also know that there's a bunch of community and social impact that is aligned with college degrees. So those are the things over there on the right-hand side. Students who go to college do benefit the communities that they come from, the families that they come from. And we know that we see that they have higher rates of civic engagement. They also have higher volunteer rates, higher voter turnout, as well as healthier communities. So students who go to college, and we talk to a lot of students, we ask them about why did they see education as being important. We often hear that, they want to help their families out. They want to help their communities out, the places that they come from. They want to make them healthier. They want to make them better. They want to make a difference in the lives of their families by becoming educated through a college degree. We know also that valuable connections and experiences are really important, a great benefit of college. So college gives students opportunities to meet new people, people of different backgrounds with different experiences and interests. It allows them to get to know new ideas by just through meeting their colleagues in class, as well as through those clubs and organizations. So they get those valuable connections. College also helps to expand student access to opportunities by connecting to a lifelong network of people, be they, like I said, colleagues, other students, advisors, professors, and mentors. Colleges also allow students to meet with alumni, so they have a very long network of people that they can lean on and talk to, even when they are no longer in school. This is one of my very favorite quotes on education. So just saying that knowledge will bring you the opportunity to make a difference. So now we're going to go through types of schools, and often on the journey to college, it can be really confusing knowing all the different language, the different types of schools, what is the difference between a public school versus a private school, what do they mean by specialized schools. So we're going to go through all of that so you feel really comfortable when you are helping your student, or if you are the student, while you're going through and looking at colleges and figuring out what is going to be the best fit. So we're going to go through a couple of different types of schools. First, we'll go through public versus private schools, 2-year schools versus a 4-year school. What does that mean? We'll go through some specialized school and then just some considerations to think about as you're looking at what was going to be the best fit, what is going to be the best type of school for either me or your student to go through. So the first thing here is when we're looking at public versus private schools. So a public school, and we're talking about colleges and universities. So public are funded through state and local governments. They often have larger student bodies, and some examples of that is like a state university or a community college. When you look at a private school, on the other hand, they are funded through tuition, endowments, and donations, which is different than being funded by state or local governments. They're often smaller with really distinct missions. Those could be religious, a liberal arts college, things like that. And some examples of a private college that many have heard of would be like a Harvard or a Princeton. The second one here that we're going to go over when we're looking at types of schools is a 2-year versus a 4-year. So you might hear about a 2-year college versus a 4-year college. So 2-year colleges are our community colleges, junior colleges, and technical schools. They often hand out, students earn associate's degrees, certificates, they do career training. They're an affordable option, and you can transfer credits to 4-year institutions. More than likely, obviously, always double check if you are planning on transferring that whatever 2-year you might be attending, that those credits would transfer to a 4-year institution. So that brings us to 4 years. So these are universities, colleges. They give out bachelor's degrees as well as advanced degrees, and they're often defined also by their wide range of majors as well as specializations. I did want to note too, and I didn't note this at the very beginning, but if you do have a question, there is a Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free. We do have somebody monitoring that. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. Okay, so now we're going to kind of combine these like different types of schools. So community college is a public, right? So we are now taking that 2-year public. So their degrees are 1-year certificates or 2-year associates. They're accountable to their region. So that's who they report to. Here in Arizona, community colleges report to districts. And sometimes in other states, they might report to local or elected boards. And some of the things that you often find in a community college are going to be their cost is low, so they're the least expensive. Small class sizes, which is really awesome for post high school, right? You still have that really great one-to-one teacher student relationship. They also often have transfer programs to 4-year schools. Super flexible class schedules, so you're not living on campus typically at a community college, and you might be able to still go to school and have a job, those types of things. They often are for commuter students and non-traditional students. So like I said, students that aren't going to school maybe full-time right away. And they often offer opportunities for public school high school students called dual enrollment. And then we have 4-year public schools. So type public degrees is a wide variety of degrees, and we will get into those degrees in just a few minutes. And they often offer those degrees in many, many fields. They're accountable to the public and the needs of the state. They report to an appointed board of trustees or board of regents. So here in Arizona, the 3 state institutions, so Northern Arizona University, as well as Arizona State University and the University of Arizona, we all report to the Arizona Board of Regents. That is who we are accountable to. Different things that we know about 4-year public schools. So they are often very affordable. They create less debt than a private 4-year institution. They accept community college transfer students. There's campus life. So on-campus housing, study abroad opportunities, college sports, student organizations. They have very accessible admissions requirements, and that harkens back to that being accountable to the public and the needs of the state. Public institutions really want to grow a thriving workforce within their state, so our admissions requirements are often very accessible. We're seen and nationally recognized as engines of economic mobility. So, looking at how we can help continue the economic mobility not only in our state, but also in the country. These schools often have graduate and professional schools as well. So, once a student gets their bachelor's degree, they can still go on at a 4-year public institution to get their master's degree or a doctoral degree. And they often offer dual enrollment opportunities for high school students as well. And then a 4-year private institution. So that is going to be giving 4-year bachelor's degrees. They are accountable and respond to their boards, which vary in both size and design depending on the school. And some attributes of these schools is higher tuition, but they have a lot of variance in their financial support. So oftentimes we talk to families or students that say, like, well, Harvard just might be out for me. I don't think I can afford it. But if that student is exceptionally academically gifted and they do get into Harvard, they might get a really, really great financial aid package. So we do often encourage students to still apply to 4-year private schools if they really want to go there and they have that academic merit, just to see what their financial aid offer might be. Private 4-years often have smaller campuses. They have very difficult admissions requirements. They have a lower student to teacher ratio. They have limited majors, often really specializing in some very specific things, which is great if you have a student or you are a student that knows exactly what you want to do. And they usually have graduate and professional schools as well. Some other types of schools that you might hear about are what we call specialized schools. So a liberal arts college, that is a type of school. There's also historically Black colleges and universities. Those are often referred to as HBCUs. Women's colleges in and throughout the United States, as well as technical schools. So these are specialized schools, but they are also types of schools you might encounter or hear about as you begin looking at college or thinking about college. So some things to consider. So there's lots of things to consider when you're looking at the type of school that would be the best fit for you. These are just some of the things that we think are super important to keep in mind. So the size of the school, right? So some students want to go to a really, really large college. They don't mind if their classes are a little bit bigger, and if they're at a rather large institution. And then some students are going to prefer schools with smaller in size. So maybe some of those liberal arts colleges that are very tiny would be a better fit. So thinking about what size college you might want to go to. Do you want something a little smaller, something a little bigger? It feels like the Three Bears, or something in the middle. Location is also a really, really important thing to consider. So are you willing to go out of state? Do you want to go out of state? Do you want to stay in state, but maybe not in the city that you were raised in or that you live in currently and are going to high school? And then alternatively, is it a really great decision for you to continue to live at home to save money and go to the school that is located in the city that you are going to high school in? So location is another thing to keep thinking about. Academics, very, very important. So if you know that you want to study forestry, for example, you're going to want to look at the forestry programs at the schools that you're looking at to see if that is the right fit. That school has the academics, has the professors that you would like to learn from. You're going to want to look at campus life as well. Is getting involved in clubs and organizations something that's super important? Or maybe you play soccer and you want to play soccer in college. Campus life is going to be something that you need to look at when you're considering type of school. Do you want to live on campus? Would you prefer to live off campus? Those are some things. And then last, but certainly not least, is going to be when you're looking at types of schools, look at the financial aid and scholarship options. So we talked about community colleges. Those are 2-year, but you can transfer to a 4-year. That's probably the most affordable option. But again, if you really have your heart set on going to a private 4-year institution, looking at what types of financial aid and scholarships they have to see how you might pay for that. So now we are going to go into types of degrees. So there's a number of different types of degrees, and knowing the difference is also super important when it comes to looking at your college search. When you're just looking at colleges online, knowing what you should be looking for. So the very first slide here talks about accreditation, and the importance of accreditation. So yeah, you want to make sure that any school that you look at is accredited. Accreditation is a voluntary and independent review of a college or university to determine if the student is being provided a quality education, and it certifies that the school meets certain standards of academic excellence. This accreditation can have an impact on if the institution is able to give federal financial aid, and also if an institution will accept transfer credit. So we usually start with this, just super important. Always just double check that any school that you're applying to and looking at is accredited. Okay, so we will go into types of degrees. So here we have the types of degrees for an undergraduate. So we are going to be looking at a certificate or a license is with this undergraduate degree. So that comes from a technical or community college and takes about 1 to 3 years to complete. The next level up from that is going to be an associate's degree. So that's an associate, an undergraduate program that's going to lead to an associate of arts, an associate of science, or an associate of applied science. And all of those things are earned from our community colleges. And like I said, take 2 to 3 years to complete, and then those can lead to a transfer to a 4-year university. And then we have a bachelor's degree there on the bottom, and that is either a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. Sometimes you might hear those referred to as a BA or a BS. Those are earned from a university and have an average of a 4-year completion. Super important to note that everyone is on their own timeline when it comes to these, that may be impacted by personal needs, capacity to be a full-time student, transfer credits, major changes, things like that. So students should work closely with their advisor as they navigate enrolling for classes in college, and any changes that might occur or change that average of 4-year timeline. A bachelor's degree helps prepare our students for many different career paths, and it's super desirable in a job market of these 3. That is the one that you would get at a 4-year university. So now we'll look at graduate degrees. So after a student has graduated with their bachelor's degree, and maybe they still want to go to school, or they still have more schooling to do because they want to become a nurse, or maybe they want to become a librarian, something like that, and they want to go on to get their doctorate. So when we look at graduate schools, so the first one in graduate school is going to be a master's degree. So graduate programs leading to most commonly a Master of Arts, also known as an MA, and also a Master of Science, which is an MS. Some other examples of master's degrees that you might have heard of would be Master of Public Health, Master of Public Administration, or a Master of Social Work. And a master's degree often takes, after the bachelor's degree, so after that 4-year bachelor's degree, an additional 2 to 3 years to complete a master's degree. And then lastly, in types of degrees, we have a doctorate degree. So that is a graduate program that leads to a PhD, so a Doctor of Philosophy, an EDD, which is a Doctor of Education. There's also a Juris Doctor, so a JD, or a Doctor of Medicine, which is an MD. And that's a 3 to 5 year completion for a PhD. I will add that some, such as an MD, could take an additional like 12 to 13 years on top of that, depending on the specialization. But that doctorate degree is going to be after your master's degree. So a student would receive a bachelor's degree, they would graduate with that, they would go on to get their master's degree, and then after their master's degree, they would go on to get their doctorate degree. So that is the conclusion of our evening. That is just going through types of schools. I hope that was super helpful. Just to recap, we went through public versus private, 2-year versus 4-year. We looked at some specialized schools. And again, be thinking about what type of school would you like to go to? What makes the most sense for you or for your student, for your family? Thinking about things size is very important, location, financial aid, as well as campus life. It's super important to look at websites. You can find all of that information. We always encourage that students and families go on campus tours if they're able to. It's a really great way to get to know a campus, to kind of get that feel for the size and location. We also then went over types of degrees. So we went over those undergraduate degrees as well as graduate degrees. And then at the very beginning, we went over those tangible benefits of college as well as the intangible benefits of college. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to our office at teamcollegebound@nau.edu if you have any questions. And a recording of this will be available on our YouTube page. I hope you have a great night. Thank you.